Hello, and welcome to i4 Automation's podcast, where we're going to try and share some of our knowledge on the unitronics and factory automation and how it integrates in the modern world with the current equipment we've got at our fingertips. This is Tom, our technical support manager.
Hi, I'm Tom. Do technical support for i4 Automation and all of the unitronics equipment. So I'm just here to tell you to turn it off and on again whenever.
No, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
I'll give myself out of job.
And my name's Andrew. I'm the managing director. I've been working with i4 Automation now for 16 years, and before that, I spent a lifetime, learning and evolving my knowledge as PLCs have developed. My first PLC had red and green LEDs on it, nothing more, so we could tell whether a statement was true. But I won't go into that now. So i4 Automation, as I say, is all about unitronics. We've got 16 years experience supplying, supporting our customers. We do all the support here from our office in St Neots. We've got stock. We do the support and we do the training. We've got a training course coming up this week.
Yeah, that's what's on the agenda for this week. Got unitronics training with the VisiLogic software this week. We do VisiLogic and Unilogic training, which are the two main programming softwares for the unitronics PLCs. So this week we've got VisiLogic. Next month we'll be doing Unilogic, and we interchange those every other week. So it's just looking at the basics of the program, just covering everything that you can do inside the software, everything that's available to you, just to make sure that whoever comes on the course has got the confidence to be able to build their PLC project up, either start one from scratch or quite often to be able to look into a project which already exists, do some fault finding, and just be able to find their way around the software and be able to do everything that they need to.
Just have that confidence to open the software and not feel they're going to delete it all inadvertently.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so we do a 2-day course, free for our existing customers, first place. We charge for non-customers if they want to come along on the training, but it's still not very expensive. And what's involved? It's a 2-day training course. What do we do? Day one?
Yeah, day one, we're talking about communicating to the PLC, updating the firmware on the PLC, going through all of the menus and knowing how to...
So it's hands-on. Each person brings their own laptop and they connect to one of our PLCs.
Exactly. We supply the PLC. They've then got VisiLogic loaded into their laptop. They connect to it. We load up onto the PLC that they've got on their desk, and we add bits into the program, normal contacts and coils and all that kind of stuff, because VisiLogic and Unilogic, as with all PLC programming software, it uses ladder logic to build up that program. So we go through that, some real basics of ladder logic, which is, based on electrical schematic drawings, diagrams.
Well, we're pretty confident we can teach you to program if you understand an electrical schematic diagram, and I do mean understand it, and you know how that works. And we will show you how you put that into a PLC and turn that into PLC talk. So you can make inputs and outputs, an input react, turn on an output, and etc. But you need to have that understanding. You need to have that electrical, fundamental knowledge at least on the schematics. Then we can teach you, and day one's pretty simple. Get you up and running. Do you do a traffic light system?
Yeah, we do traffic light system as a bit of a test on the VisiLogic system. We do it in some part of the Unilogic program as well. So, and that's just getting some very basic contacts and coils, pressing buttons, making lights switch on the HMI, and then working out how that interacts back with the outputs that you actually output from the PLC, whether they're analog or digital outputs. And then going into data logging and bits and pieces like that on day two. I like to make it interactive with the people who come on the course, so they can say, "Wow, I'm working on this at the moment. This is going to be my goal for using the unitronics equipment," and that gives me the opportunity to then tailor the second day of the course to what people have got going on.
There's no point spending time on CAN bus, which is something we're quite strong on, if people aren't using CAN bus.
Exactly.
And they want to connect to the inverter drives perhaps on Modbus and want to know how that works.
Yeah, so I'll normally do a bit of a consensus of what's going around in that room that we're working with, and if there's something that they want a bit more detail on, then we can do some sort of extra training days on that kind of stuff. But the basic training that we run every single month is just on the basics of the software, how to get it to run, how it might differ from existing softwares that you've used. We have people come on the course who have already using Siemens PLCs or something like that. And the beautiful thing about the unitronics PLCs, all of the programming software is free. There's no charge for the cables. It's just very standard USB cables, Ethernet cables that you can use to connect it up. So it's really easy to pick up and just run with.
And the support's free. The training's free.
Yeah. And we're always here to help support with that kind of stuff.
So in terms of that, so we've got the different softwares, we've got different training courses, different uncertain months. I'm surprised you're doing one in December.
Yeah, we do December. The only month we don't do is August, July and August.
Yeah,
in the middle of summer.
So the other thing that people can do, if they don't want to come on one of our free training courses, we'll convert that to half a day's application time. So what that means is we'll spend some time with you looking at your application. You might have started programming it. You might already have enough programming experience, but you want to do a bit of hand holding. Maybe you want to do comms to away scale. You know, on Modbus, or you just want to do some protocol talking to it. Something else, and we'll help you do that, or give an overview of your project, have a look at it and just sort of say, okay, you could do this slightly differently, or make sure you put this instruction before that instruction to make things run efficiently. So that, that's an option also open to you if you're already an experienced user, but you just maybe not experienced with Unitronics and you want someone to overlook a project.
If you've got a specific piece of kit that you want to work with the Unitronics stuff, it's not foreign to us to be able to take that bit of kit, plug it into our equipment, and show you how it's worked, how we're going to get it to interact in the same way.
We talked a lot about the PLC. There's obviously a HMI. Integral part of all our PLCs.
Yes.
You also cover that?
Yes, we do. Yeah. I mean, with the podcast, are we going really basic on teaching people what PLC and HMI are?
Okay. We're just saying hello.
So the human machine interface, the touchscreen part of the PLC, we also cover how to add things onto the screen, obviously buttons and images and stuff like that for status messages on the screen. And also with the Unilogic system, you can add videos and PDF viewers and stuff like that onto the HMI itself. So there's a lot to be able to add onto the screen, and we go through making sure that you're really confident with using these widgets. They basically just come on drag and drop widgets to build up your HMI screen on both VisiLogic and Unilogic. And then it's a case of, once you've got your understanding of the contacts and the coils and maybe some of the data tables and the data logging side of things, it's just a case of using these function blocks in different ways and just triggering them when you want to inside your program. And that's hopefully where we get people to at the end of the 2-day course, where they go, okay, I want to be able to do this. I know there's a function block that does it, and now I know how to trigger that function block, and I can choose what time to trigger it, at which point in my machine automation system I want to be able to do that.
Okay. And so if people are more sort of in a maintenance role or a service role where they come back to the machines, we also do a bit of training and a bit of refresher course for them so they can get up to date, because if you're not using it all the time, unfortunately you tend to lose it. You use it or lose it. It's very much a philosophy these days.
Yeah, and I must admit, when people come on the course and they might not have to touch one of these PLCs for a little while, and we're always available for support to be able to give them ongoing support after that, make sure that they can, because after they've been on the PLC training course, they're now the PLC expert in their company. So we've got to make sure they can come back and go, Tom, can you just go over that with me again, or can we go through?
We're on the end of a phone, aren't we? So we'll phone, email if you need to talk to us, regarding any support issues or you have any questions.
Yeah.
So, and we have customers who sometimes come back and say, look, I know I did a 2-day training course with you, but now the project's live, I just need to, go through something with you. Can I pop in? And within reason, we can do that within the schedule of a normal working day.
Like I say, the most important thing is that you can use that Unitronics equipment with confidence, that you can go in there and say, right, I've got this project, I want to be able to build it using the Unitronics equipment, and then we can show you, because we've got VFDs, PLCs that all work together. It's all, like I say, it's very much drag and drop with a lot of the software, the way that it's worked, really intuitive, the way that you can add these different peripherals onto your system. Yeah. And it's built in there, and it's really, really easy to add those extra components into your project using the Unitronics as a basis for that. Okay,
so you mentioned VFDs there.
Yeah.
Variable speed drives. So obviously Unitronics have got their own range, maybe not obviously. Yeah, one of the problems with Unitronics is we've got this big breadth of products, and it's like a top secret thing and not enough people know about it, not enough people use them. It's one of the things we're trying to do today is raise their profile, because we think it is a good solution. It is a good way of approaching factory automation. And it's very cost effective. But a lot of people just don't seem to want to use it because they've used other products and they've got different experiences. So we've got the VFDs, variable speed drives. A variable speed drive, in case you're not aware, is quite simply a squirrel cage motor. Will take in voltage at a certain frequency, and that frequency will determine the speed of the motor. Now, if we put it into an inverter, we can change the output frequency. Now, it's not a proper sine wave, but it's made up a lot of square waves, and the motor will see that as the speed reference. That means we can overspeed the motor, go over 50 hertz, reduces the torque, reduces the power in the motor, or we can slow it down, and that gives us a very big saving in energy. and that's obviously very popular when you've got pumps and fans that are running 24/7 and you want to save on electricity. One of the examples I always give people, because it's very visual, London Underground started using inverter drives on their escalators because during non-peak time they can slow down the escalator and nobody notices because there isn't the traffic of people going up and down the escalators. It's just not needed.
Yeah.
During peak times, you put it up to full speed. But that's a good example where inverters are being used and people aren't realising. More in our industry, it's to do with conveyors, feeding, and if you've got a feed line coming in on a conveyor, you might want to slow it down because there's a blockage further up. You might want to speed it up. You might have changes of different products that you need to alter the speeds. So there's a number of uses. Pumps and fans, quite self-explanatory, really.
And traditionally, you would use that using an analog output or something from the PLC.
Yeah, you'd have a
speed.
4 to 20 signal that you'd use to control the speed. Some people would use a 0 to 10 volt, but it's always preferable to use a 4 to 20 because if you break the wire, if it goes open circuit, it gives you a bit of protection. But with the Unitronics products, what we're looking for now is using it on a Modbus network. That's 485 or Ethernet. And that way we can talk to several inverters very easily and very quickly, reduce the number of analog outputs, reduce how complex the project is, and read all the alarms back. Now, part of that is we've had these products out now for several years with Unitronics, and they've put on a promotion and said to us, look, anybody who's buying a PLC and an inverter drive, we're going to give you an extra 10% off your whole package. It's only running until Christmas currently, although they have indicated if it is successful, if there is a lot of uptake with it, they will increase the period. But basically, that's 10% off for saving your wiring, using the technology, and being more efficient with your whole solution.
That's it. It's not just this unit and that unit. They work in tandem with each other so perfectly. You can control the drives, and all the traffic and all the network traffic is controlled really nicely. So you can get those alarms back that Andrew talks about, that you can get back feedback onto the screen. What frequency are you running at? What's the voltage that you're currently pulling? All of this kind of stuff. You can see all of that on the HMI screen, and then also control the VFDs, multiple VFDs at the same time, just with the touch of a button on your screen, or obviously part of your automation process that you can build up with your ladder logic. And it's just in there, baked in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's relatively easy to use, but it's like everything. Because people aren't used to it, they need, we're happy to hold their hand and make it as easy as possible for them to embrace the new technology.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
You get an alarm message, and the fact you're getting all the alarms back, and you're not talking about alarm numbers, you can then program it to say, okay, let's interpret that. I haven't got to then go and find the manual and remember and work out how I've connected to it and what that manual says or what that parameter number means, because it's already pre-programmed, so you don't have to rely. And if it's remotely situated, you can get the operator to actually tell you what alarm's coming up, and it's going to mean something, and they could even fix it themselves, and that saves everyone time and effort.
I mean, the drives themselves can be used independently. We've got the Modbus address, the addresses for the Modbus and everything like that is available. So if you want to use them with in a different scenario, it is possible to do that. But like we say, the nice thing about them is that it's integrated in there really nicely.
Plus, there's an extra 10% off, so it's quite a good deal at the moment.
And one of the things we're going to be doing at the moment is creating more tutorial videos, more content and stuff like that we can give out to you guys. So hopefully you get to a position where we're always available on the phone, but we'll have lots of really easy to use tutorials and stuff that will just make it easier.
We've got a wealth of knowledge and we just want to share that, because there's no point us having that knowledge sitting here being frustrated that people don't seem to know the Unitronics name, and yet we're sitting here with all this knowledge.
For Automation, we work with Unitronics for 16 years
16 years, yeah.
16 years of using this equipment and really getting involved with our customers. As we say, we help with the training, but we also just help with everything to get things going. So there's not a lot of problems that we've not come up against that we can resolve quite quickly.
It's like anything. You get a bathtub effect with failures with electronics. It either fails at the beginning when you first switch it on, or towards the end of its life. And that's like any electronics, whether it's TVs, air fryers, or PLCs. And we don't get many back at all. No. We really don't.
It's a really solid bit of kit. It really is. A lot of people they're like, oh, this is really good. I don't know why I've not been using it for a long time. It's kind of,
we keep it secret. We don't want to tell people about it.
But that's why we're here. So this is all part of the drive that we're going to be doing to make that more apparent. We want to make sure that as many people are aware of this stuff as possible, and like we say, be able to support as many people to build up their project and make massive projects with this really useful bit of kit.
And understand what we can do with the products and how easy it is to do.
Yeah. You said earlier on that the human machine interface, the HMI, used to just be a couple of lights blinking.
Well, you used to have an engraved panel with lights and push buttons, and if somebody wanted an extra push button, you'd have to go and cut out a 22.5mm hole, and because the way the panel was laid out, that's not always convenient. And of course, when we had the first machine interfaces, we called them man machine interfaces, and that was changed to HMI from MMI, which seemed kind of strange, but that's just part of the evolution of the products. And that goes back several years. I thought they were joking when they first changed that, but maybe that's just showing my age.
Well, the touchscreen, they're really quite robust as well, though, because you get people, they think, oh, I've got touch buttons on this system, I don't want to be able to change that for a touchscreen. It's so easy to add it in there, and we've got lots out in the field at the moment that are just doing the job, and they've got, obviously, not just touchscreens, not just LED 7-segment displays, they've got actual HMIs with PDFs, videos, instructions, everything, all there inside the HMI, inside the PLC. And they're robust, they're working, they're workhorses, they're going away and doing exactly what they should be doing.
That's exactly what it says on the tin.
Exactly.
Just to coin a phrase.
We've got 15.6 inch screens now. There's a 21.5 inch screen that Unitronics have recently brought out. We've got smaller text displays using the original Jazz PLC from Unitronics, one of their original PLCs. We've got these vision controllers, which are, they've got less graphical capabilities on them, but
it's only a 3.5 inch screen.
It's only a 3.5 inch screen, and for most factory automation systems, it's going to be absolutely fine for your job. So there's so many options available to you, which does make it a bit of a minefield. If you're trying to configure your system, feel free to contact us. We're really happy to point you in the right direction and get you the most cost-effective solution for what you're looking for.
Yeah, we just need an I/O count really and the screen size, and we can go away and say, okay, here's a couple of options. This is the pros and cons with those different options. We're always happy to do that. We're doing it every day. We're working with the product every day, so that's our bread and butter.
Yeah, really here to help where possible, aren't we?
Yeah. So we've got the training. We're doing the training. We've got a course running this week, actually. This Wednesday, week. Thursday. Just giving you a bit of an oversight on that in terms of what we're doing, and then we've had a little talk to you about the variable speed drives. We've got this special offer on 10% off when you buy a variable speed drive and a controller. There is a limit. You can have up to 3 variable speed drives, but that covers most applications, and it's a saving off the bottom line for you.
That, just to be clear, that's 3 variable speed drives on the offer. You can have more variable speed drives connected to the PLC.
Three, not free. Okay. And then finally, we were talking in the office the other day, and we said, what are some of the technical terms that we use and band around every day? And one of the ladies in the office, she said, well, what's an integer? So
yeah, she said, I hear people talking about integers. What is an integer? So effectively, when you're building up your PLC program, you've got building blocks that you use, normally 1s and 0s. You've got switches that you can turn on and off, contacts and coils, just as your basic fundamental. But when you've got analog inputs and analog outputs, you've got analog values on your screen, you might want to set points and stuff like that. You need to use these integers, which is just basically, it's just a whole number. A whole number inside your program that is a varying size. So you might have an 8-bit whole number, which is 0 to 255, 16-bit, it goes up to 0 to 6,550 something. I don't know the exact numbers, but basically you've got these varying size of number. The smaller the integer, so the smaller bit value of the integer, the less memory you're using up in the PLC, which is going to help with your scan times and making sure the PLC program runs effectively. It was more important when you had less processing power. There's a lot more processing power available to you now, but effectively the integer is just a way of getting a number into the PLC and then using that in your PLC to be able to set certain variables that you want to happen inside your program.
Yeah, you might do something simple, like you want to say if something goes over a certain value, so you'll just do a compare, and if it's greater than or less than a certain value, then you want to turn a bit on to start another bit of the process going. So a tank's filling up, you've got an ultrasonic sensor, it's measuring the height of that tank. If it's greater than X, it will then turn on a pump to start pumping it away. But we need an integer to work with that real number. Yeah.
So, but if you've got a decimal place inside your program, so you might have a temperature probe that's reading 25.5 degrees. When it comes into the PLC, we'll then store that into an integer value. And if it's 25.5 degrees C, for example, that will then store as 255. So it's got kind of a virtual decimal place on there. And you can use that to do your calculations inside the PLC. You just, all of your maths and everything that you do with that integer, you just need to be aware that you've got that virtual decimal place in there. inside the PLCs, they also have real values where you've got a decimal place inside the program, and what that is built up of two integers put together. So we've got a real value inside Unilogic, and we've got a real value inside VisiLogic as well. So that allows you to be able to just put two of these integers together and create that whole number and that decimal place number inside your program. It gets a bit complicated when you're doing that, because then you can't then work one of these double word, one of these real values into your program. You can't work it with a normal integer, so you need to convert it back down into a single integer and work with
Getting
it.
very techy now.
Yeah, so
we've got a short summary in the comments section, so you can have a look at that and sort of look at that in your own time and see if that makes sense to you. But if you have any questions, ask us, contact us.
Of course. And if there's anything that you want us to do in terms of tutorial videos for the Unitronics equipment, or there's anything to do with PLC programming that you want us to cover, let us know. Like I say, we're going to be doing more and more tutorials, more and more just letting you get to know the Unitronics equipment. So we're going to
just sharing some of our experience.
Exactly. So if you have any information, any questions that you want information on, let us know. web@i4automation.co.uk, send us an email, get in touch with the podcast, and hopefully we can help you out wherever possible.
Great stuff. And we'll try and do this regularly and keep you updated.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.